A republic never loses the rule of law in a single day. It loses it one excuse at a time, one clever argument at a time, one crowd at a time. And over these past 2 weeks, in broad daylight in front of all of us, the excuses have been arriving at regular intervals, wearing seemingly harmless clothes. We need to see through it. I'm Desh Kapoor, and this is Drishtikon. Today, let us talk about something that should not even need defending, the rule of law, and why prosecuting the people who turned a protest into violence, especially those carrying serious criminal histories, is legitimate, necessary, and very frankly, non-negotiable. Because we are being told a very strange story. We are told that the men and women hurling abuse, stones, and iron rails at police officers on a march towards the parliament are simply protesters. We are told that filming them in a public street is a violation of their privacy. We are told that if they already carry FIRs for serious crimes, the Supreme Court should release them, and that if it refuses, its orders will simply not be accepted. Let me say clearly what this actually is. This is not a quarrel about dissent. This is a battle over whether crime can be laundered into activism or not. Listen to that again. This is a battle over whether crime can be laundered into activism or not. Consider what a protest is. In any constitutional system, a protest is a public act. You walk on a public road, you gather at a public square, you raise your demands in front of the whole nation. You want attention. You want to be seen. That is the entire purpose of this exercise. You cannot then spin around and claim privacy from the cameras in the middle of that very public act. If you are marching towards the parliament and some amongst you are attacking police with stones and metal rods, those cameras are not your enemy. They are the only neutral witness in the whole affair. They carry no ideology, they take no sides, they record exactly one thing. Did you break the law or did you not? Now, hear the argument being made in the courts. Lawyers from the group that calls itself Cockroach Janata Party say that recording protesters violates their privacy and that it criminalizes them merely for showing up. Put into plain speech, they want a protest that is public for the slogans and private for the crimes. This is not a demand for civil liberties, that is a demand for impunity. And then there are numbers. Reports now say that close to 2,900 people with serious criminal records were moving through these protests. Delhi police say facial recognition run through the CCTV footage flagged them, and that hundreds face grave charges. Murder, robbery, sexual assault, pedophiles, and those who have committed crimes against children. These, by the accounts we have, are the very people abusing and attacking anyone who raised a camera. And why would they do it? Because the camera turns their violence into evidence. So ask yourself one honest question. When close to 3,000 serious offenders gather under the banner of a students' movement, march towards the institutions of the nation like the parliament and insist that they cannot be filmed or cannot be arrested and cannot be prosecuted, then is that a protest? Or is that a shield held up over organized criminality? Rule of law means one thing and one thing only. The same measure falls on everyone. If you are a genuine student with no record protesting peacefully, you deserve protection from any access. If you carry a long trail of FIRs for serious offenses, and you use this crowd to attack police and law enforcement and threaten institutions, you deserve to be prosecuted, plain and simple. And this is exactly what the Supreme Court itself said. No coercive action against the students, except those with criminal antecedents and those who resorted to violence. Release the minors and conduct a fair probe, one that also answers to the families of more than 200 injured police personnel. The court was telling us something a child could understand. A protest is not a blanket license to commit crime. And yet the group's own spokesperson, Saurav Das, stands up and declares that they will not accept the Supreme Court's decision if it refuses to release the protesters who already have FIRs against them. Now, let that sink in. They are not challenging one order on its merit. They are claiming a street veto over the highest court in the land, and they are claiming it on behalf of the people already booked for serious crimes and those resorting to violence. This has the echo of what Yogendra Yadav said to BBC. He said, from now on, Indian democracy will not be run from the parliament but from the streets. It will not be decided by elections but by resistance. What you saw on July 20th, he said, was just a trailer. This is not activism, that is contempt for the constitutional order itself. Because there is a deeper machine running here, and I want you to see it clearly. Pack a protest with hardened criminals, demand anonymity in a public square, attack anyone who tries to document the violence, and then demand unconditional release, regardless of the past crimes or the present crimes. Do that, and you are no longer fighting for democracy. You are wearing democracy as a costume. And watch how the machine turns. Once the crime puts on the mask of a youth movement, every arrest can be rebranded as repression. Every officer becomes a villain. Every video of violence becomes proof of targeting dissent. The result is a sequence, and it is always the same sequence. The state is delegitimized, the police are demonized, the courts are mocked, and slowly the street becomes a final authority, ruled by whoever can summon the most aggressive crowd. It's the Wild West. That is a road that runs from democracy to mobocracy. And we have watched a neighbor of ours walk that very road only 2 summers ago. There's also a human cost we are being trained to look past. We speak about the injured protesters, and we should. But what about more than 200 injured police personnel and the law enforcement personnel? 6 of them with head injuries. What about the men and women sent out under written lawful orders, following procedures to face a crowd that had rehearsed exactly how to weaponize its own victimhood? And if we refuse to prosecute the men who did it, we are sending one message to every future mob. Attack the uniform and hide behind the slogan, and the system will blink. So what does a mature republic actually do here? Well, it is not complicated. Protect the peaceful protester, above all students and the minors, from any arbitrary or excessive force by the state. Preserve every piece of evidence, video, audio, and communications transparently. Investigate both the police excesses and the protest violence through one independent mechanism, and prosecute firmly and without apology everyone who used this protest as a stage for violence. Above all, those with serious criminal records. Do all 4 at the same time, without fear and without favor. If we do less than that, we are not being compassionate. We are being cowardly, and we are dismantling the very structure that makes rights possible in the first place. A structure where the law falls equally on everyone and where violence carries a consequence. Because in the end, this was never really about one protest, one movement, or one order of one court. It is about the country we intend to live in. A country where you can stand in the open, raise your voice, and challenge the mightiest people in the land, and still trust that the law will shield you as long as you stay peaceful. Because the ones who cross the line into violence will answer for that. Take the assurance away, and every single citizen loses. Because if the law cannot protect you from a violent crowd today, it will not protect you from any organized mob tomorrow. The street is not a sanctuary, not for the officer who breaks the law, and not for the criminal who hides behind a child's grievance. The law follows both of them in their home. I'm Desh Kapoor, and this is Drishtikon. Jai Hind.